Viewer discretion is advised.
April 1906. There was a dragon in the Dolomites Mountains, and it looked just like the men had imagined. The two scientists set their eyes upon the majestic beast high above the sky. It soared over the peak, let out a low roar that rattled their chest and loosened the snow from the mountainside. Its wings blocked out the sun like a cloud passing overhead. The dragon, although as fearsome as a beast, it was as chivalrous as a gentleman. It transformed into the form of a dashing young man, so the men could feel relaxed. "Greetings, gentlemen. It is not often that I have the pleasure of such encounter with another soul within these lonely mountains." It welcomed the men as guests and invited them into its cave. A century later, the dragon roared furiously and breathed fire, unleashing its wrath. "My wings, my dignity as a dragon will not be denied." Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a SCP Foundation neutralized object, SCP-3844. SCP-3844, also known as To Slay a Dragon, was a winged reptile. It was measured at 10.30 meters from tail to head, and a wingspan of 8 meters. While in its dragon form, 3844's body was covered in scales of pale blue hue, except around the stomach where they were completely white. 3844 was capable of forcefully expelling a methane vapor from its mouth, which able to achieve temperatures as high as 1950 degrees Celsius, and igniting it through an instantaneous application of certain thaumaturgical incantation. 3844 was also capable of speech. It spoke at most 2 languages, and had little knowledge of the world due to its prolonged confinement within the Foundation. During its interaction with Foundation personnel, 3844 took the form of an adult male. However, it claimed that it could mimic the appearance of any human. The claim has yet to be proven. 3844 inhabited an immense cavern that contained mountainous amount of valuable metals. It often burrowed underneath these materials, where it presumably slept. In conversation, 3844 had confirmed that it was the inspiration behind a number of European myths involving dragons. The dragon was first discovered by a pair of scientists, Lester and Galveston, in the Dolomites Mountains after having heard rumors of hearing what sounded like roars of a beast from deep within the mountains. Surely enough, the scientists, or as the dragon called them, New Age of Knights, encountered the mythical beast and was taken in as guests into the dragon's lair. Having relaxed under the dragon's human form and exceptionally civilized demeanor, they held a lengthy yet lively discussion. Lester then had a proposal. "Sir Dragon, I am both in awe and humbled by the hospitality you've shown us. However, we came here with a goal in mind. As men of science, we must study, how should I say this, a mythical creature such as you to better understand the world around us. Forgive me, but you must realize that a dragon is not something everyday men would encounter in real life. Fret not. I may be an outsider when it comes to human affairs, but I do understand the satiation for discoveries. Your request is not unexpected." And so they negotiated certain terms to keep the dragon contained within the mountains, and made an agreement in writing. 3844 agreed to limit its expeditions from its lair to 1 time per day, and will remain within the low elevation level of the Dolomites, as well as to refrain from any vocalizations during expeditions. I have faith that you'll keep your promises, as we will, Sir Dragon. The name's Tharnok, and you have my word. Decades later, World War broke out. To avoid exposing 3844 to any civilians or aircraft, Lester ordered to install anti-aircraft artillery around the dragon's dwelling, while the proper facilities were under construction. It was to fire at any airborne entities over the containment perimeter. Lester decided to visit the dragon. "Lester, it's been decades, I believe, although I guess you never specified a time for your return visit, or circumstances. I've heard about the war, and I see you've made some preparations around my abode. We aren't participating in the war, we're just making sure it doesn't expose you to the world." 3844 briefly returned to its dragon form and extended its wing as best as its containment allowed. I wonder, when will I be able to fly again? I'm afraid I can't promise anything. I'll come back when we discover new things to evaluate, say when the war ends. Until then, do you have any requests? It became a man again. It shook its head and stretched its shoulders. As time went on, Lester began to notice that 3844 grew increasingly restless within the cell, as it would let out a low roar and flapped its wings incessantly. He decided to change the purpose of the artillery. From now on, I need all of you to guard 3844, not from the outside world, but the opposite. You are authorized to activate the guns in the event of a containment breach. Lester, now a board member of the O5 Council, visited 3844 again. He noticed that the dragon had aged. Its muscles were weak and its scales had gotten paler. I see you've returned. How long has it been? Decades? They remained silent for a moment, and then 3844 asked, "Tell me, what is it that you people do here?" "We study otherworldly anomalies, such as you. We've made some discoveries and breakthroughs in science. Perhaps your science has finally found a way to let me stretch my wings and to feel the wide open air once again." Lester thought about it for a moment. Unfortunately, no. Modern radars will detect you the moment you leave this place. 3844's expression became visibly sad. It retreated to the far corner of the room, where it transformed back into its dragon form. Several more decades went by. Lester paid another visit to 3844. He noticed that 3844 looked aged and weak now. This would be the last meeting between Lester and the dragon. "Oh, I'm surprised you're still upright. Any other normal man wouldn't have lived as long as you do now." "Well, being with the council has its perks. I have access to various temporal technology that allow me to outlive most men. That's what science does." "It's magic. It's what it is. Everything's science when you examine it for long enough." 3844 scoffed heavily. "Once there was a duke. I asked him, 'What are stars?' And he said, 'They're little lights from the heaven above.' He spoke with awe, much like yours when we first met. Stars are nothing but balls of flaming gas." Oh, when he spoke, the awe, the sense of amazement, so very much like yours when we first met. "Are you grieving over the advancement of science?" 3844 shook its head. "No, I'm mourning the death of spectacles and miracles. I wish I could embrace science, but it takes away so much of what I enjoy in this world. And I'm afraid I'll have to break our agreement now, if you still remember them." The conversation was being monitored by Lester's team in the other room. He looked up to the surveillance camera and nodded. "I can't just let you leave." By now, the dragon began to let out a deep growl as it prepared to take flight and to breathe its first fire in a century. "I see no way you can stop me. My wings have not felt the rush of air in century, and I can hear my kin's beck and call. I do not wish to hurt you, so please stand back and farewell." The dragon watched his friend leave the cell without saying another word, and let out a roar that was full of sorrow. It unfurled its wings, raged and breathed fire. All around it, walls burned to cinders. It then took flight into the air. "Now, do it!" The guns were activated. They aimed at the dragon and unleashed a barrage of rockets. The dragon's flight speed was great, but it was no match for the heat-tracing rockets. They caught up to it, and eventually, it was shot down. Lester approached the heavily wounded dragon. He could see that its life was slowly ebbing away. "I'm sorry it had to be this way. I wonder, are there any kin of mine left in the world? I wonder how they fare these days. Will I be able to join them in the sky again?" And the dragon drew its last breath. The light faded from its eyes. Lester looked up into the night sky. The stars flickered in the cloudless expanse. His eyes suddenly felt warm with tears and regret. He remembers the excitement of when they first heard about the rumors of dragons deep in the gorge, the strenuous hike within the snowy mountains, the awe and wonder when they first laid eyes on Tharnak soaring freely in the sky. The low roar that day was still fresh in his mind, and that's where it lives now. Galveston died, and Lester was the only man alive who could say that he was the man who was invited into the dragon's lair. He remembered when he was at its mercy, but now the dragon, last of its kind, lay dead in front of him. No more roars will echo within these mountains. No more dragon will soar beside the little lights from heaven above. All that's left was just a void, littered with balls of flaming gas. Remember to check out my new animation channel, TheRubber Talks, where I share my life story, thoughts, and opinions. Just click on the link in the description to enter the Rubber's world. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Which SCP do you want to see in the next video and why it is interesting? Let us know in the comment below. We will draw your story and share it with the world. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. Please share it to your friends if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.